These numbers are amazing, Mike, aren't they? And the narrative is just building by the week.
Yeah, but it's when you say narrative, these are just facts. We're talking about facts here. You know, we're here to be impartial and say what we see, and the figures are there for everyone to see. And it's not good enough when Spurs get into winning positions, they drop too deep. They're defending for 45 minutes to try see the game out, and then they get a goal back, they push up for a little bit. Then they drop deep. It's almost like they don't.
So who do you blame for that then, Mike?
Well, it's a combination, I would say, of both. He's not dug anyone out in that interview there, but indirectly he's talking about his players. He doesn't want to speak because he thinks his team he's not good enough when you see with his comments.
Is he saying that, or is he saying they don't have the confidence?
If you read in between the lines, you know what he's saying. He's saying that the team's not good enough. After Jamie said beforehand that, you know, he's happy with this squad. So he is sort of contradicting himself a little bit. And I've made it clear I'm a big fan of Mourinho. Big fan, but he's got big problems here. Like, you got your striker, your talisman potentially wanting to leave. And the rest of the team is not good enough. Where do they go from here?
Jamie, Spurs.
Well, I think you have to analyse it by talking about the 6-1 game to start with early in the season. With the Spurs team that day had 8 players that played today. And we didn't talk about them being soft on that occasion. We didn't talk about them being soft when they went top of the league in November. What Jose's also done in this period is made them a really tough watch. Now, you can say what you like about Spurs as a team for however many years. They've always been a good football team. They've always had a style of play. I think if Spurs fans were here right now watching that, they wouldn't enjoy it one bit. Too often, I watch this Spurs side, there's no real flair, there's no excitement. I don't think this is a bad squad of players. I've said it before and I stand by it. I think that the manager right now has chopped and changed that back four. I don't think anyone's... To play football, you have to have a chemistry. You have to have a relationship with every playing alongside. You've got your back four. Every week, he's chopping and changing it. Now, early in the season, when they were doing well, we knew how they played. At least it was a Jose Mourinho team. He played with Sissoko and Højbjerg in midfield, and at times they go into a back six. We all talked about it wasn't a great watch, but at least you knew what they were trying to do, be defensive and get results. Right now, they're trying to be defensive and not getting results, and they're an incredibly tough watch. And Jose is looking at trying to blame everybody else, but I think he has to take responsibility.
He hasn't blamed everyone else today.
Today, but that's fine. But the thing is with Jose, for many years we all talked about a masterclass, and he loved it and he adhered to it and he celebrated it. So when you're a good manager, you make sure no matter what happens, you organise your team to get that result, whatever it takes. And when you've got good players, it's a lot easier. Now, if he doesn't think this is a good squad or he's got good players, a great manager would find a way to get them organised, because he's always been a defensive coach. So he has to take responsibility because they're not playing good football and they're losing matches. And for them to be in a position they are right now, 7th in the league with a cup final, and we talk about Harry Kane, if Harry Kane leaves, it's not just that, the financial implications for the club with the stadium, etc., the assets, all the players that he's got there, like Dele Alli and Winks. And having spent a bit of time at Tottenham, I know that Daniel Levy will not like the fact that a lot of the players that he's got there are devaluing assets. He hates that because he wants to keep players' assets, so when you come to sell them, they're worth more than perhaps what you had them for. But when you just cast them aside in the manner that he does, I don't think it helps one bit.
What doesn't help, Jamie, is Mourinho just says his style of play and over the, I suppose, the last 10 years, the teams he's worked with, when they have gone in front and maybe they have sat back and seen out through when they've been in front, he's always had really brilliant defenders and really good midfielders, in terms of a proper mindset. I'm going back to, obviously, Chelsea, centre-halves there and brilliant goalkeepers, good full-backs, big, strong men in midfield. Even when he was at Inter Milan, fantastic. He still has that kind of habit, but doing with Spurs, who defensively would it be their midfield, and obviously that comes down to the manager and the coaching staff in the midfield. They're not strong enough. Even today, if you're looking at Kane and Son going, well, you stay up front, the rest will just make sure we keep it tight. But they're not good enough. They're getting pulled all over the place. We saw it last week at Newcastle. We saw it in the European game. OK, they won up at Old Trafford, and again, on the counter-attack, and United were down to 10 men, which can happen. But this Tottenham team that he's working with, the players he have, if he still has that mindset, if we get our noses in front, which they have done, we've seen the stats, and we're going to sit back in and try and hold on to leads, this team defensively, and I'm including the goalkeeper, aren't good enough to do that. So to compare what he'd done with his previous clubs, These lads he's got here at Tottenham are nowhere near good defensively as what he's previously worked with.
Do you think it's coaching instruction, Micah, or do you think it's the leaders on the pitch, or the lack of, that Roy's talk about, and the lack of real quality in those defensive areas? I mean, this is interesting reading. Talk us through this.
Look at that. Possession, see, before scoring, 56%. After scoring, 37%. That backs up my point. That once they go a goal, they just the drop deep and they try defend for 45 minutes. And you asked me the question: is it the manager or the players? I think it's a bit of both. I agree with Jamie that they have got some good players, and I agree with Roy that if you're going into a game with Roden and Dyer, it's not the best centre-back partnership, and you know Roden's only youngish. That you've got to give him a chance to grow. He's going in there with someone who's gone from midfield into defence, so it's always going to be difficult. And the manager has to see that and get that right. So I would say it's a bit of both.
You're shaking your head, Roy.
No, I'm not shaking my head. I'm in agreement. But if you look at their back four today, for example, Spurs' defensive four today, 5 if you include the goalkeeper. The back four they're not good defenders. They are not good defenders. OK, they've got a young centre-half, he's learned his trade. But the other three, they've got other strengths. Left back's not bad going forward. But defensively, that's not one of their strengths. And we're analysing it, but it's a combination of all these things. The manager's got to have a look at himself with his staff, the players they've got. Defensively, not good enough. The midfield's not strong enough. Lack of leaders, lack of characters. All that goes into the mix. It's just not one thing. It's a number of issues they've got. And it's not an easy fix.
No. I think Alderweireld is a better option than what they've got. We didn't play him today. But I remember doing the Arsenal game when Manchester United lost 1-0, and I remember thinking, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, where does he go from here? I thought we were talking about, you know, if he was to get sacked. Look at the improvement he's made with these players. Their confidence was rock bottom at that point. I didn't see a situation he could keep his job. And now I watch this United side. They're freewheeling. They're brilliant to watch, scoring goals. I guess they had their moments. First 30 minutes, of course, they were poor.
Well, doesn't Jose Mourinho need more time to make this really his Tottenham team?
Well, normally with Jose, it's 2 or 3 years, and then he moves to a different project or he falls out with people. I think he's been lucky that the Spurs fans haven't been here to witness a lot of the football in this last 3 or 4 months. When Spurs, because they are a certain breed, they do like to see good football. At times they'll go away and they might not always get, but it'd be your 4-3s, and there's been a lot of great games. This is a tough watch for them.
Would it be unfair?
This.
Would it be unfair, Roy, to cast aside Mourinho if he didn't win the cup final and they didn't finish in the top 4?
Well, I certainly wouldn't know, because I think his CV warrants to stay longer in the job. But I said that at Man United. Obviously, we don't know what's going on in the background. Sometimes it's relationship with players and board members and whoever. That's where maybe Mourinho can fall out with people. But from a footballing point of view, and things don't go well for the remainder of the season, I would obviously, of course, stick with him just because his CV warrants certainly another year or two at the club. I'm kind of all for that anyway. Give a manager a chance to give him a bit more time, because I've been a manager and sometimes it does take a bit longer, even for the great managers.